Another Wednesday, we've got Horvy here. I'm Joe Ostrowski. I can't say this is chicken dinner. I can't officially announce a name yet. I thought we were getting some momentum towards a specific name of the show, and then we were talking about it before the show. I don't know. If things are still up in the air, Horvy, I'm not blaming you. Here's what we're going to do. There's a few ideas that we like, and we don't want to just jump into something just to name it and get it over with. We have a few ideas. We're going to throw it out to the people. So check us out on YouTube. You give us that thumbs up and give us a comment on which name you like. Go ahead. Mention the one that Sam was liking, that we were leaning towards. And then as it got closer to showtime, we're like, nah, it just doesn't feel right.
The Cleaver. So long list was sent over to us by Sam. At first, I didn't know what it was. I was like, wait a minute, what is this? It was in the middle of the day. Then as I dug into it a
ChatGPT,
little
man,
bit.
you got to get on ChatGPT. He's all over it. It helps me with some stuff. People I know are using it constantly.
My wife put together the diet for the new year on ChatGPT.
Really?
And yeah, so I'm going with the full carnivore diet. Just pretty much for at least a month, meat, some veggies, some fruit, but just pretty much meat, a little bit of rice, some sweet potatoes, and gonna get myself back on track. I was on track for about 4.5 months, and then I went back to Chicago. I
killed it.
13 Italian beefs in 2.5 days. No joke, because at Christmas, my family's gotten lazy. So now what they do is they cater Portillo's, and it's just the beef.
Yeah.
And so all night on Christmas Eve, drinking some cocktails, eating some Italian beef.
The beef isn't bad for you, though, if it's all the bread and the other stuff.
That's the thing. I have to cut down on the gluten, I found out. I went through the old, I'll tell the people, I went through the colonoscopy for the first time at 40 years old. So 5 years early, but family history. They recommended it. And I'm not going to lie, not awful. Like, I would schedule, obviously, kind of like the NCAA tournament when people do the vasectomies. The prep sucks. It's shitty, literally. All you do, I don't want to go too TMI, but all you do is you sit on the can the entire night, starting around 6 p.m. I did it on Sunday. Big mistake with the playoffs, with the wild card weekend. Because just like in the commercial, every commercial is food. Jerry's eating rice the entire time. It's pizza, it's wings, and I'm on this liquid diet. The good thing was, though, with the iPad and the YouTube TV, I was able to just watch the games while I relieved myself. So got that done. Wasn't all that fun, but wasn't all that awful. 24 hours later, here I am, had to do some blood work, but I have to cut out the gluten for a little bit. So no pizza, no bread. But right, that's the problem. I'm not just going to eat the Italian beef. And I also need the giardiniera. I need the hot peppers.
That's fine.
Every once in a while, some cheese. But yeah, so put on some pounds. Now I'm trying to get myself back on track. So my wife just put together the whole list, and it was all ChatGPT. But yeah, so Sam threw out the Cleaver, which I did like. I liked it as a little knockoff of The Sopranos when Christopher Moltisanti is looking to get into Hollywood. He's making the movie, and Tony's pissed because he doesn't want the inside information about the family business getting out there. But I brought it up to my wife, and she said the same thing that you said. It makes us sound like serial killers.
Which I think that's why Sam liked it. Like, we're going to destroy people on here. But that's not all we do. And it's funny, right before we started recording, my wife happened to send me a list, and I didn't know she was looking. Maybe she was listening to the most recent show. We were talking about the idea of a show name, and we were kind of stuck trying to figure it out. See, here's the thing. In the betting space, everything's been done. Everything's been tried. Like, I'll come across different ideas. I'm like, oh, that's done. Oh, it reminds me of that stupid show. I don't want to be associated with that. So it's a little challenging, but there were a few that stood out. So let us know in the comments on YouTube at betchickendinner. What is cool is Spotify. We've been getting more and more comments because we've been talking about that. The numbers show that a lot more people are out there on Spotify, which is good because they can interact immediately. But yeah, or tweeting us, of course, at chickenxdinner. Horvy is at Ryan Horvat. I'm at Joe Ostrowski. All right, here's the three that jumped out to us. All right. And I will say that there was one I kind of liked that a listener or viewer sent along, but I just don't want to say it all the time. Jorvy, I thought was pretty good and
I
kind of
like it.
funny, but I don't know that we want to go with that as a show name, right?
Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah.
Right.
I don't want to say it. Right. I mean, it would be fine,
Yeah.
but right. Like, I don't want to say that multiple times in every single episode. So might have to pass on that one. Great recommendation, though.
Okay. Here's the three that we're looking at. Pecking the board.
Love that.
Cluck and cover. Or this one is kind of underrated, and it has something to do with somebody else that messaged me about the show name. Winners over wings. I think having a wing element on this Chicken Dinner Network, a show with you, and the big thing is you got into it with Sam because he's just so offended about the way you eat chicken wings because you take one bite and then you throw the thing down.
Okay, so hold on. I want to redo as a podcast, as a show. Over the next year, I want us all to get together, like somewhere where I like the wings, because I'll say like they were terrible wings. There was so much breading and so little chicken that I was like, fuck these things, just tossing them on the ground. But if we go to an establishment that I enjoy, I will suck the bone. I will suck the bone dry.
All right.
Pause.
Calm down over there.
Pause.
Okay, so here are the options. Pecking the board, cluck and cover, winners over wings. It sounds like you like pecking the board. I lean to cluck and cover.
I'm torn between the two. I do like cluck and cover. I think we go fan vote on this one.
Yeah, we will. So you can tweet us at chickenxdinner. Maybe we'll set up a poll on Twitter. And then, of course, all the YouTube comments, make sure you send them there at betchickendinner. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit that thumbs up while you are there. All shows here on the Chicken Dinner Network are brought to you by our friends over at Splash Sports. They've got a huge contest starting on Thursday. It's the Rick Run Good and Splash $1.25 million one and done world championship. Another $1 million contest. We had the one going into the NFL playoffs with Survivor, $1 million contest. Now they've got this one for golf, and there's a massive overlay going on right now. It's for $1.25 million. The entry is $250, and I'm looking right now, and looks like there's a 3,000 spots open. So a massive overlay, something that I'll be jumping in, Horvy. So make sure you check that out, splashsports.com. And download the app onto your phone like I have it so I can keep everything tracked there. A lot going on today in the last couple of days. It's nonstop news in the NFL. Not just about these playoff teams. We're going to go over all four of the divisional round games and numbers, what Horvy is thinking. College football playoff championship coming up on Monday. If you don't know, Horvy is a huge Cubs fan. Get to that coming up. Also, it's quite a combination. It's Notre Dame, it's Cubs, and it's Packers. Here's the understatement, I guess, of the century. You may not feel that it's awesome right now, given the results of Saturday night. It's really cool that the rivalry is back. Like, it's not some of this fake shit like, oh, well, okay, onside kick, blocked kick at the end, like some fluky win, low-scoring game with some crazy narrative, like just, oh, well, it was just about, that game was about the interceptions. That game was about this thing that is not sustainable. You look at the last 5 games between the Bears and the Packers, and every one of them has come down to the very end. We knew it was going to come down to the very end, and then it did once again. At least that's the way we were thinking going in. The reality is Bears-Packers is back after Green Bay dominated for decades because of the massive advantage they had with Favre, Rodgers, and Love.
Yeah, and, growing up in the Midwest, in Chicago, a lot of people are always like, how are you a Green Bay Packer fan? Notre Dame, like you just said, the Cubs, and then the Packers. Well, my great uncle, my grandfather's brother, was play-by-play. He did play-by-play for the Milwaukee Braves and the Green Bay Packers. And so at a young age, went to Lambeau Field and just fell in love. And it's tough to say now these days, but I was a big Favre guy. I mean, every other week he was concussed, broken hand, out there throwing for 350, 3 touchdowns, usually 4 picks, but loved Favre growing up. fell in love with the Packers, but I got to be honest. It was like the last 48 hours I've been thinking about this. I don't mind that Chicago won this game. I'm cheering for you guys. Now, I'm also cheering for the San Francisco 49ers and the Buffalo Bills in that exact matchup in the Super Bowl. But this Bears team, not only just because I bet the win total and took them to win the North, they're fun, man. And like we talked about last week, the defense isn't very good, but they could take away the football. Sure, some luck's involved, but Caleb Williams, especially in the second half and the fourth quarter of these games, he's been lights out. Captain comeback. I feel like there's no reason I kind of like Chicago this week. I don't think there's any reason to bet the Bears pre-flop, though. I think you just bet the Bears live or bet Chicago in the second half the rest of the way because they don't get out of bed until the third quarter of these games. But Colston Loveland, I love that draft pick. I was going back and forth with my buddies back home. In fact, my cousin just texted and he was like, I thought you were fucking crazy when you said you like Colston Loveland over Tyler Warren. And the case I made was, I love the way that they used Tyler Warren at Penn State because, let's face it, Drew Aller wasn't very good. So they'd line him up in the Wildcat. They'd line him up in the slot, traditional tight end. But what I liked about Loveland is, he's built like a basketball player, his skill set, his route tree. And we never really got to see his full potential because at Michigan, they were running the ball for 7 yards per carry. It was Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. And I don't think J.J. McCarthy's very good. And I think they tried to hide that for a couple of years. But I loved his skill set. And finally, they've unleashed that. I see his prop number continues to go up. I'd probably stay away this week, but I loved it last week. Love Burden. DJ Moore has stepped up here, the last couple of weeks, especially against the Packers. He's torched them. This Bears team is fun. And even as a Packer fan, there's like a lot of like the bloggers and the hosts out in the Milwaukee area.
The ESPN Milwaukee hosts are
babies.
It's insane. How much of that is fake, honestly? Because they know it's drawn to pop. You think all of that is real? And by the way, I've seen that floated around a lot over the last week when they were laughing at the Bears for taking Loveland over Warren. Just laughing at the Bears. Well, look at them now. I trust Ben Johnson, but maybe they did not. You think all of that is real? All of it, the hatred, because it's funny. A lot of the Packers fans that I hear from say, well, it's not a rivalry on this side. We don't really care about the lowly Bears. And based on what I've seen this year, like they say that the Packers are living rent-free in the Bears' heads. That's not how I view it at all. I think it's the other way around.
I just think that Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Green Bay. I just think Wisconsin versus Chicago is a very real rivalry right now because you have the Brewers and the Cubs.
Yeah.
As a Cubs fan, I hate the Brewers and their fans. And this is a real rivalry. And Green Bay, I said coming into this season, they have a 3-year window. I think Jordan Love's a very good quarterback. I don't think he's the issue. The offensive line this season has been an issue, especially after the Elton Jenkins injury. I still think they need a clear-cut number one wide receiver, although I like Dobbs. I like Christian Watson. He can't stay healthy. Matthew Golden, I bet the motherfucker every single week to score a touchdown in the regular season. He waits until the 1 week that I don't in the playoffs. But the problem for them was the Micah Parsons injury. There's a reason why you trade all that draft capital, those first-round picks, to go get a pass rusher that's top 5, and it's because he makes everybody else on that field better. Lucas Van Ness was pretty solid this season, but Rashawn Gary was a huge letdown, and their secondary is a mess. There's a reason why they went and picked up Trayvon Diggs off the street, and then they only play him one snap. He looked terrible on that one snap. But Packers fans don't want to admit this, man. Their window, even though Jordan Love is so young, might be closing, and it looks like Matt LaFleur is sticking around. I don't know if that's a good thing. He has regular season success, but in these big games, what was he doing blowing those 2 timeouts that early? You can't have one timeout with 3 minutes left to go in a fourth quarter.
Then you get an injury and a runoff, then the clock starts right away. Just killed him. Yeah, that's bad. What I was going to ask you that. You have defended him more than most in Packers Nation. Your response has typically been, okay, fine. If you want to move on, who you getting? Better be an upgrade, which is certainly fair. But how do you feel about an extension, just knowing he's Ben Johnson's bitch right now?
That's almost, what's funny? So after that playoff loss, I was like, I can't defend this anymore. Maybe you do have to fire Matt LaFleur. I don't know who you bring in. A lot of people want Harbaugh. I think I would prefer Stefanski. And a lot of people are like, what has Stefanski done? Well, made the playoffs a couple times with some bad quarterback play. A 55-year-old, the Deshaun Watson thing didn't obviously work out. But I do like Stefanski. And with Harbaugh, I mean, a couple years ago, 2 years ago, man, that Ravens defense was historically good before Mike McDonald left. And they're averaging 6 yards per carry, and he drops or allows Todd Monken to drop back Lamar 38 times at home against the Chiefs. The year where you could have got the Chiefs and got Mahomes, they couldn't stop the run. So Harbaugh, you could call him a playoff choke artist as well. That's the thing, though, and I put this on Twitter. Other than Andy Reid and Nick Sirianni the last 5 years, like only one team, only one coach could win the Super Bowl every year. So that was the argument with LaFleur. He has, I think, the 16th or 17th best win percentage in NFL coaching history. But he had Aaron Rodgers. Now he's made the playoffs the last couple of years with Jordan Love. Granted, if that extra wild card spot isn't added, he would have missed the playoffs the last 3 years. The argument for me was I think he's a very good play caller. The in-game stuff, sometimes he really struggles, especially in these big games. I'll never forget about the NFC Championship game against the Bucs, where he pulls Rodgers off the field to kick a field goal to make a one-score game, and they never get the ball back against Tampa. But I put on Twitter, maybe it's time to let him go. But the reason, actually, that I kind of want to bring him back and maybe would agree to this extension, this might be the beginning of his villain arc. Like this is Spider-Man or something because of the way that Ben Johnson just blew him off with the, psych. Maybe now he'll actually be in the lab. Maybe we won't get the same predictable play calling. Maybe he'll take a week off of getting his eyebrows done and the haircut. He'll come out all bushy and, he'll want revenge. We'll see.
He should.
I think any other organization, he's probably gone, but because they don't have a real owner, and I'm not the biggest Brian Gutekunst fan, they probably run it back. You could probably also give him a pass because of the Micah Parsons injury. That team was beat to shit. They might make a run.
And Kraft.
They have healthy Micah Parsons. But I don't know, man. Chicago's not going anywhere. And I know they're going to play a tougher schedule, and it's hard to predict takeaways the next year. But I think the defense only continues to get better. And like I said in the last pod, I think that they're going to get a better running back. And I like Swift, but he's probably gone. They're only going to get better. And Ben Johnson's good. And also, I think Detroit's back next year. So the NFC North is going to be really tough.
Yeah, maybe it's going to be like the NFC West of this year, where you got all of these teams still left. And don't forget, on Saturday night, Bears did not turn the ball over. For all that talk about luck and turning the ball over, they didn't turn it over once, and they were still able to win that game. All right, your guy Rodgers, before we get to the divisional round matchups, we do have to bring it up. I mean, last night it was clear. The entire ESPN broadcast was like, dude, this is it. This is the end of the line. I don't know that it is, but we see Tomlin, quote, stepping down. Okay, he was going to get fired. So you want to step down or you're getting fired after another playoff loss. That was it. I hope it's it for Aaron Rodgers. I'm not a Rodgers fan. You're a big Rodgers fanboy, and you admit that. But you look at the last 3 years with the Jets and the Steelers, and honestly, it's not even fun rooting against him. I mean, he had no shot. If that didn't scream quarterback at the end, yes, it's the best pass rushing defense in football. I get it. He had no chance, and he's just trying to get rid of the ball quickly, and that's what he's done a lot this year. It's the end for Rodgers, right? I mean, he's just going to usher right into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it was almost kind of sad last night, right? It's like when you finally, or not when you finally, but when you go see one of your favorite singers or guitar players or bands, and it's the end of the road, and you're like, ooh, this is rough, right? But I want to support them. It's like a 40-year-old aging pitcher. It was like Michael Jordan when he came back with the Wizards. Yeah, there were some flashes. There were some moments where he would drop 50, but you were like, Kobe's final year, it's time. And, I thought Troy Aikman made a great point. Maybe if somebody gets hurt mid-season, like in San Francisco, he could come in, but I don't think he could commit to another full season. He looked old, he looked cold, and he looked miserable last night. And it cost me money because I was on Pittsburgh. So right now, as much as I love Rodgers, thanks for all the memories. Fuck him and fuck Tomlin. That's what I was thinking the entire time. My mom's texting me like, oh, maybe he's got a shot at it. Just no, he's cooked, man. He's lost the fastball. And I mean, the offensive line didn't do him any favors. It didn't help that he was going against the best defense, the best pass rush in the league. But hell of a career. Probably should have finished with 2 or 3 Super Bowls, but because of special teams mistakes, bad coaching, he finishes with 1. Hell of a quarterback, I'd say, as far as talent, top 5 all time, but it's time to go. He was even crabby as shit in the press conference.
Yep.
So he defended Matt LaFleur and Mike Tomlin, but
of course.
Yeah, it was rough to watch last night.
I don't love his hits with Pat McAfee. All that is an ass-kissing session. Please stay with us. Please help us. Give us the reaction, the ratings. Come on, buddy. What do I have to do to keep you here? But, and I'm not a big fan, as I just mentioned. If I'm a media company, though, I push that to the side. This is about business. I'm not saying he's electric on McAfee's show. People want to know what he has to say, and people find him interesting. Whether it's positive or negative, they have a passion. They have an opinion of Aaron Rodgers. Everybody does. Especially with Matt, like say you're CBS and Matt Ryan goes and he's working with the Falcons now. I would add that guy in a heartbeat. What would it take for you to come here? We'll work with you on the broadcasting chops, whatever, whether it's a booth or a studio, whatever it is. I would do whatever I could, even though I don't like the guy personally, to bring in Aaron Rodgers to my company.
Same here. And you know what's funny is people are like, well, he's the kind of guy when it's over, he's going to ride off into the sunset. He'll be in a cave somewhere. But I think that's all bullshit.
He likes the attention.
Right? I think he wants the attention, especially now that he's, a little out there. I think he wants to talk UFOs. And I mean, I like that version of Rodgers. Years ago, he was on this crazy ass UFO podcast. He claims that he was abducted by aliens, and who knows, maybe he was. But where he loses me, and I'm not like, big into politics or the whole COVID stuff, but every time they talk to him, I mean, like 5 years later, he's always like, yeah, I was right about COVID. And it's like, oh no, not this again. Even on the last Rogan podcast, he was like, are we really going to do this for the entire, hour and 20 minutes here? Yeah, I would give him whatever he wants. Remember a couple of years ago, he was in the running or he was hosting Jeopardy. I mean, he's very intelligent in some things. He's entertaining as shit. If he does a podcast or he's on McAfee, I'll watch, but it's time for him to go away. As far as playing football, his playing days, I mean, he can barely push the ball down the field. His ADOT was like 4.6, the lowest in the league. It was all dinking and dunking, 3-yard passes to Kenneth Gainwell. It's time, but yeah, he's entertaining. I would definitely watch.
All right, we've got a lot to hit. I know you want to talk about Super Bowl MVP odds. I talked about that yesterday with Sammy, and you've got a thought. All 4 divisional round games, college football playoff championship. Your Cubs are making moves, so it's going to be kind of quick hitting. We are talking very early in the process off the wild card weekend in the divisional round matchups. Let's just go in chronological order. Bills, Broncos. Let's call it a pick 'em. There are a lot of spots that have the Bills as a short favorite, 1.5, but the Vegas sharper books are sitting at pick 'em total 46.5. What do you think?
All right, so you got Denver on the extra rest. They're at home. It's that defense, but I got to go with my preseason pick, and I got to go with the Buffalo Bills here. And I haven't bet the Bills yet. I am going to bet Buffalo. I can't bet against Josh Allen like we talked about last week in a pick'em situation. Now, it does scare me that he's going against this defense, and Denver does have the extra rest. But my take coming into the season was, even with Sean Payton, even with that run game, I don't trust Bo Nix in the second half, in the fourth quarter of these games, and he's burned me all season long. Let's see him do it one more time. And I guess we could kind of hit on the Super Bowl MVP odds, because that would be the only bet that I would make, and that's where I looked immediately after Sunday's game. I wanted to see the Bills' updated price, which currently 6-1, most shops, I believe. Josh Allen, Super Bowl MVP, 7-1. I don't think you would be able to make the case unless Matt Milano has 2 pick sixes or James Cook rushes for over 200 yards in the Super Bowl. If the Bills do win the Super Bowl, I think you got to go Josh Allen, and he's 7-1. I don't think you're going to get a better price, so I did place small little wager on that, and I like Buffalo in the game. I'm going to fade Bo Nix even at home, and I'm going to continue to ride Josh Allen. If it's not this year for Josh Allen, I don't think it's going to happen. They probably fire McDermott. They probably spend some money on the defensive side of the ball. I'm so sick of these Ryan Clark-like takes. Oh, if Buffalo doesn't win this week, that's all on Josh Allen. What the fuck are these people talking about, man? That brings me back to the Aaron Rodgers years where he loses in the NFC Championship game, and people are like, see, Rodgers is a choke artist. No, you see, he hasn't had a top 10 scoring defense ever in his career. He's got Ladarius Gunter out there as his shutdown corner. This Buffalo team has no business being where they are. They're only there because of Josh Allen. So I'm going to continue to ride Buffalo. Won't surprise me, though, if Denver wins this game by 10 plus points because that defense is so good.
So when we talked about it, the idea for me, even though I have been consistent and I've said this thing is wide open, one of the teams that I thought could win it, they bow out in the wild card round, and the Philadelphia Eagles, we saw what they were really about. Josh Allen at 7-1, that makes sense. I think it's an absolute joke that Sam Darnold has a shorter number than him. You can't even get 5-1 on Sam Darnold, which is kind of crazy. So I don't think that's a horrible idea. But I went into that conversation with Sam thinking, okay, there are 3 teams that can win this Super Bowl. It's Seattle, it's LA Rams, it's Buffalo Bills. But, you know, maybe I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth because I do think it's a wide open year. But when it comes down to putting my money down, am I going to take a Patriot? Am I going to take a Bronco? Am I going to take a Texan to win the Super Bowl MVP? My initial thought was no. But man, after watching Monday, maybe we should look at somebody like Will Anderson. Like if the Texans were to win the Super Bowl, the story is defense and which player on defense has the best game. Like, yeah, Denver Broncos. If they were to win the Super Bowl, you've got to go with the defensive player. The question is, which one would you go with?
Right. I mean, is it Surtain? Is it like a pick six? Right? Is that the big play? I like the Will Anderson angle, and I really like this path now for the Texans. And I was laughing early in the season when the offense was all beat to shit, and you brought up Houston as a buy low candidate. Wish I would have followed your lead, man, because if anybody's going to go into New England now and win a 17-13, 13-10 type game, and as I look at the total, it's sitting there at 41, I think it could be the Texans. Even with the offense looking the way that they've looked really the entire season. I don't know that I fully trust CJ Stroud, again, last night with the turnovers, but yeah, Will Anderson is a beast, man. So I wouldn't hate, a small little wager on Will Anderson or some of these defensive type players, like you said, defensive players, because this year, especially in the AFC, just like last year, though, that's why Philadelphia won that game against Kansas City. They made life a living hell for Pat Mahomes. So I don't hate an edge rusher if you're looking at some of these teams. And I think Will Anderson will be a perfect bet.
All right. So throw out those names before we move on to the other games. Will Anderson right now is 100-1. If Seattle wins, it doesn't have to be offense. It could very well be defense. I just don't know which Seahawk player you go with. DeMarcus Lawrence is 150. Leonard Williams, 200-1. Is there a Seattle guy, if you're going defense, that you'd bet? I'm having a tough time landing on one specific one. It feels like you'd have to split your money on those.
Well, I definitely wouldn't bet Sam Darnold. I was thinking maybe Devin Witherspoon, right? I'm always thinking interceptions or pick sixes, one of the better corners in the league. But I was thinking if I was going to go with an offensive player, I would rather go JSN. And I know quarterback is the sexier position, but if Smith-Njigba goes out there and has 10 receptions for $160 and 2 touchdowns, he's probably winning over Sam Darnold. So I wouldn't hate JSN. I wouldn't hate, Devin Witherspoon.
Yep.
One of the pass rushers. But yeah, those, especially when it comes to defense, those would be the 2 teams that I would be looking at, man. Houston and Seattle.
JSN 18-1, Puka 22-1. Those receiving options I don't think are bad. And since you said it, okay, we got to bet it since you said it on Witherspoon because it's 750-1.
Yeah, we'll go a little 750-1 on him. Former Illini guy, so I like him. Yeah. And then the case I would make for Puka at 22-1, top 5 receiver in the league, could go off against anybody, any secondary. And if Matthew Stafford is the regular season MVP, and Puka does have a 10-9 reception game for, again, 160 yards and 2 touchdowns, maybe he gets the love because Stafford's already the regular season MVP. So really just depends which team you like, which path you like. I'd be a little nervous if I was a Rams fan, man. I know that Matthew Stafford's had success against Dennis Allen, but like I said last week, this Bears team, I don't understand how they keep doing it, but they keep doing it.
All right, let's jump there. Rams minus 3.5 after opening 4.5, total 50.5. It's going down a little bit. early weather reports. It looks like it's going to be really cold. Stafford has struggled in these extreme temperatures. The Rams in general have struggled in Chicago in those extreme temperatures. I'm all about the over. How about you?
Yep, love the over. Right now, I'm looking best number 48.5 minus 115 at DK, 49.5 if you do like the under. I want to see where we close here. I like the Bears. I wasn't joking, though. Do I bet the Bears pre-flop? I mean, I'm going to wait and see where this closes. Right now, 3.5. But if I could get a better price, if I could get anything over a touchdown, especially if the Rams scripted stuff goes well and Stafford comes out firing, I could see the struggles really happening in the second half. Because again, the Bears could take away the football in the last couple of weeks or in some of these bigger spots. The Carolina game, Stafford's thrown a couple interceptions. So if the Bears could take away the football, I think they could be live in the second half. I plan on betting Chicago here, but I'm with you. I like the over. I don't care what the weather is like. These teams, I think, are going to go up and down the field. Like the over here. I can't wait to watch this game.
Oh, yeah. You mentioned the Loveland prop. It was 40.5 last week at this time. Now it's 58.5. It's only going one direction. It's going to keep on climbing. It's going to go into the 60s. People were tweeting me, well, it's still not high enough. I'd still bet it. When it jumps 20 yards in a week, slow down. Slow down.
Yeah, that's a little bit of an adjustment, right? Now, I still don't want to run out and bet the under because I could see him having 7-8 grabs, especially if Chicago's trailing in this game. If it's a negative game script and you're dropping Caleb back 30-plus times, he's going to get the target. So I don't want to run out and bet the under, but I'm going to stay away from the over. The only prop that I've bet, I did take Matthew Stafford over 21.5 completions, minus 115, because I think it's going to be a closer game. And then really small, I bet Blake Corum anytime touchdown, plus 270, just because it's the Bears' run defense. I think Kyron Williams is priced where he should be, just like I said with Jaden Reed, though. Plus 270 on Corum, I do think that's a decent price.
All right. The show to be determined is the name. If you have not mentioned it in YouTube, comment which name do you like? Pecking the board, cluck and cover, winners over wings. Let us know. We will have the official announcement on next Wednesday's show. Let's stay NFC. Saturday night, San Francisco, Seattle. Whew. Third time this season. The Seahawks and Sam Darnold are laying more than a touchdown. It's minus 7.5. Total 45.5. You know, one thing with this matchup, the home field hasn't mattered this year. The road team has won in the first two times.
Yeah, man, I kind of want to just continue to ride the San Francisco train here. I do have the NFC future. I think it dies this week, though. I mean, they keep winning. They're playing with house money right now, literally. Robert Saleh has done a great job. I hope this doesn't convince an organization or some school to give him a head coaching gig, because I do not think he's a head coach. I think he's best suited as not only a defensive coordinator, but a coordinator under Kyle Shanahan. But how many more injuries can this team suffer? They're really not getting a pass rush without Bosa. Fred Warner's not coming back. And then on the offensive side of the ball, now you lose George Kittle. And I know that they went out and they won that game, and Kyle Juszczyk had a hell of a game. Brock Purdy had a hell of a game, but I just don't trust them in this spot against this Seattle defense. I like the way that Darnold's looked in some of these bigger games. Even if he does throw a couple picks, he's just going to keep coming after you. I love JSN, so I don't really want to lay 7.5, but I'm not betting against Seattle in this spot. Do like the under. I think this is going to be a lower scoring game. I actually think San Francisco's offense might struggle for the first time in a while here. I did bet a prop. It's a little juice, though, but I took Brock Purdy over 3.5 rush attempts, minus 135. Had 9 rush attempts against the Eagles. 2 weeks before that, had 6 in that game against the Bears. I think with the Seattle pass rush and with that secondary, he's going to have to use his legs a little bit. So Brock Purdy over 3.5 rush yards. Plan on betting the under here. And if I had to bet the side, it would be Seattle or pass. But I'm cheering on these Niners futures, man. So hopefully I'm wrong here.
Good luck. Coming off the bye is Seattle. And when we saw them last, it was against San Francisco. They gave up only 3 points. They went 0 for 3 in the red zone. They should have scored a lot more than 13. 361 total yards in this game. I don't know. It might be a blowout in this one. We shall see. I'll give my official pick tomorrow, chicken dinner with Sam Panayonovich. The other game we have not mentioned, Houston at New England. Patriots, a home favorite. They are laying a field goal. It's a juiced 3 at the moment. So this thing could get off the 3 to 3.5. Total 41. What do you think?
3.5. I'm betting Houston. As far as the total, I'm going to stay away. would lean under here, but oh man, I've been wrong about this New England team all season long. I wanted to wait a year because I really liked Drake May, but wanted to see what the offensive line would look like. Big Vrabel guy, but I thought it might take a year with this defense. But bet against them this weekend, the wild card weekend. Big mistake, just like Oregon was. I like the Texans though, just because of that defense, because of that pass rush. CJ Stroud has to limit the turnovers. I don't love the run game. The Nico Collins situation is something obviously to monitor here because they're going to have to score points to win this game. But if anybody, like I said, is going to win a 13-10 game on the road against this Patriots team, I think it would be Houston. So anything over 3, I'll play the Texans. I think this is going to be a lower scoring game.
All right, let's move on to a couple other things that we wanted to hit before we get out of here. College football playoff championship game on Monday. We'll get to that coming up, but mention off the top, diehard Cubs fan. When I would have you on a regular basis on early odds on 670 The Score, the Cubs would always come up, and it didn't matter if it was the middle of the regular season, middle of the offseason. The first thing that you would mention is you would start going off about Ricketts and how he doesn't spend any money. He's got all this money, and he's not spending any money. They tried to get Bregman a year ago. They failed. They stepped up their offer big time after he leaves the Red Sox after 1 year. 5 years, $175 million. This happens days after they decide to trade for Cabrera, a guy that's going to be in the back end of the rotation for Miami. He's got high upside as well. Man, your Cubs are making moves, and the dust is finally off that Ricketts wallet.
Love it. You got to act like a big market team. Like I've been saying for, the last decade plus here in Milwaukee, every year, somehow ends up winning that division or competing for the wild card. So I like that you had a successful season and now you're going to go all in. This is very uncharacteristic of them though. $175 million for 5 years, $70 million of that money deferred, fixing up the bullpen. Not in love still with the rotation. Would love to add another arm, but defensively, and I do value defense, I think they're going to have one of the better infields and outfields in all of baseball. They're going to be able to hopefully manufacture and score some runs. You add a little bit of power. Last year with Bregman, he had that injury early in the season, but I bet him 150-1 to lead the league in doubles. Probably going to do that again this season. Already bet the Cubs to win the Central, which you could get right now plus 125. The Brewers plus 195. Reds at plus 390. I think that's probably the value bet, but I like the Cubs anything plus money, man, because I do think that they're going to be aggressive. Now, I don't like seeing these reports that there's interest, especially if the Giants want to get really aggressive. I don't want to move on from Nico Horner. If anything, I want depth. Injuries do happen. Plus, you do have the DH spot. I know that he doesn't really add a whole lot of power, but I think he's a good clubhouse guy. Again, you have one of the better defensive infields. I want all the depth, but really exciting. In fact, I was watching, obviously, Bears-Packers, and when that deal went down, Bears were down, 2 or 3 scores, and I said, they're going to come back and win this game. Chicago is officially back. And
once you saw the news,
yeah, aggressive and act like a big market team, man. It correlated, though, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I agree with you on the what we're hearing about Horner. I'm a big fan. He is a legit good dude. I don't say that about many athletes, but he does fall into that category. He's a fan favorite. Good for the locker room, but you know what? So's Bregman.
Yep.
So I wonder what they're going to end up doing. I don't like them taking away from a strength, which is that defense, and you have the DH spot as well. I was hoping that they would hang on to him, and maybe they will. Maybe you end up moving Shaw, or maybe he's your utility guy, or either guy could be utility guy. You've got a bunch of infielders that can truly play anywhere on the diamond.
Yeah, and that's why I would go into the season, if I'm going to move on from Nico or if I'm going to move on from Shaw. Now, the problem is with Shaw, he probably loses value if he goes out there and hits 208, right? But he does have power, and that's what Nico does not have. But you have the DH spot. And the other thing is, man, injuries happen. And I would rather, if Shaw starts hot, his value is probably never going to be higher. If he's hitting 260, 270 with 18 homers going into the deadline or going into the break, you can move him for some arms if you need. And same thing with Nico. So I'd rather go into the season with all of these guys. Now, that said, and I guess that's what they're saying, is it has to be an offer that blows them away, right? And we'll see what the Giants come up with. But I would want some starting arms. I would want a starting pitcher there.
It's going to be a Shaw versus Horner conversation. Yep. The Cubs need to land on what they want to do, because One of them's probably going to be hitting. And don't forget, Ballesteros too.
Yeah.
DH. So there's a bit of a log jam. We'll see if they end up making a move. That's a pretty strong lineup. And yeah, you had Bregman 2-hole after Bush. Like, oh man, that's pretty strong. Before you get to Happ, Suzuki, PCA, things are looking up for the Chicago Cubs. All right, let's wrap college football championship. Who would have thunk? Miami against Indiana. It is a monster number. People can't stop betting the Hoosiers because you know why? They keep on cashing tickets with Indiana, and it is never in doubt. So, of course, they're going to go back to the window the following week and say, yeah, give me Cignetti. I'm betting on Mendoza again. Doesn't even matter what the number is. Give it to me. All right, Miami at home. I don't know how much is going to be a home crowd. You would think at least half, maybe 3/4. We'll see. But these Indiana Hoosier fans are going to be traveling as well. I saw them traveling last year when I was at that playoff game. That was much closer at Notre Dame in a special circumstance, but you would think they're going to travel. This thing keeps hopping, man. Where are we going to close? How are you going to bet it?
Yeah, so first off, we have to start with the Oregon game, where what I love about college football is you could usually take advantage of a huge board. But when we get to the playoff, when we get to these bowl games, not as many options. But I really, really liked Oregon in that matchup. And I believe I said that Dan Lanning was going to outcoach Cignetti. Did not happen. And I also, probably the worst bet that I've had all year was Dante Moore was going to outplay Fernando Mendoza, and maybe to take a look at his #1 overall pick odds, because Dante Moore most likely going back to school. And I knew that we were fucked on that bet after the first play of the game, which sounds like an overreaction, but he completely stares down that receiver, throws the pick 6. I know they come back on the next drive and score and tie up the game, but I knew we were screwed, not because of the bad decision and him staring down the defensive player, but I knew we were screwed when his body language, I mean, he was completely rattled. He was seeing ghosts out there. So Oregon was a bad look, and I probably shouldn't bet against Indiana. But like you said, I want to see where we close. Right now, 8.5, best number that you could get on Miami. This game is going to be played at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens. So you have the home field advantage, even though you said it, Indiana, their fans are going to travel here. But if we got to 10, and I don't know that we do before kickoff, I'd probably have a pretty big bet on Miami. I know that Indiana keeps steamrolling these teams. They keep covering these big numbers. Cignetti right now, the best coach in college football. Mendoza is going to be the #1 overall pick, is the best quarterback in the nation. And Indiana's defense, as good as they are, they're top 10 in every single category, kind of flying under the radar. Underrated, if anything. But Miami's defense, also so damn good. Not only against the run, and I know they gave up some plays in that last game, but getting after the quarterback. Ruben Bain didn't have his best game. I think he's going to show up in a national title spot. I'm going to wait before kick, but I'm going to bet Miami. I wouldn't recommend anybody do it. I'm going to stay away from the total here, but I just think this number is getting a little out of hand, and nobody's going to want to bet against Indiana and Cignetti, but I'll do so. I like this version of Carson Beck, where that last year at Georgia was forcing throws, trying to push the ball down the field, too many turnovers. He's limited that, and they have a strong run game, but even in that semifinal game, stepping up, using his legs, scores the game-winning touchdown. If they don't turn the football over, I think this is going to be a lower scoring game. My lean would be the under, but after what happened to us in the fourth quarter of that last one, not going back to that well, I'm going to bet Miami best number here, best price. Probably be wrong. Indiana probably wins this game by 35 points, but one last fade of Cignetti and Mendoza for me. I'm going Canes.
You mentioned the Oregon result. The quote Sharps just got beat down. It was Oregon, Rams, Packers, Jaguars. It was nonstop. It was Steelers. It was Chargers. It's like every single game. Oh, and their biggest play was the Eagles. I know you were against that one. Like, you were the only one that I heard all week. It was like, look, if this gets to 6, you've got to go Niners. You've got to go Shanahan in that spot.
Yeah, I think Sirianni should be done, man. I mean, Kellen Moore was so good last year, and I am a big Vic Fangio guy, but Sirianni ain't it. It's just AJ Brown probably.
Well, his OC ain't it. He's got to fire his best friend. Like, that was ridiculous. I know you win the Super Bowl and you've got a lot of favor in the organization. He went a little bit too far with that one, and Eagles fans and media members were calling for it all year, and they were proven right in the very end.
Yeah, completely agree. I did like San Francisco. I unfortunately was on the Chargers, and then I was on Pittsburgh last night.
Yeah.
And then
The end of the
Ducks,
week was
though.
not good. The end of the week
The
was not
Ducks,
good.
that was the killer right there, was Oregon. I mean, too many turnovers, great field position, a pick six for Indiana, but that was just a bad bet. That was just Indiana is so good and they're so buttoned up. It's like watching a service academy team, man, but with a bunch of talent. And they're grown men, and I think that's been a little bit overblown. But even on the last podcast, I said I think that might be the new way to win, not only in college football, but in college hoops. If you look at the one-and-done teams, it's more these veteran teams with 23, 24-year-olds, grown-ass men out there that are competing for championships. So I think Indiana probably wins the game, but do they win it by 2 scores in Miami against that defense? I don't know. So I do like the Canes, and I'm hoping for a better result this week in that one.
Check out our sponsors, Splash Sports, splashsports.com. Download the app, the Rick Run Good and Splash $1.25 million one-and-done World Championship. Make sure you check that out. I'm always down for a contest that is offering you to win $1 million. So make sure you enter that before Thursday morning's deadline. All right, it's been Joe O, Ryan Horvat. We'll have an official name of the show next week. Tell us what you think. The list is pecking the board, cluck and cover, winners over wings. Which one do you like? Let us know in the YouTube comments. Hit that thumbs up button. Let us know in the Spotify comments to this episode. And you can also tweet us at chickenxdinner. And Horvy, you are by your name everywhere on social media, right?
Yep, nice and easy, at Ryan Horvat.
All right, Horvy. Best of luck with all your plays. I love it, man. Keep bringing it every week. I think you gave out like 17, 18 plays with all the games that we were talking about.
Yeah, hopefully a better result than the Ducks and the Steelers, but looking for a big week here.
All right, I'll be back tomorrow with our guy Sammy P for another chicken dinner.